Good morning, YouTube. Today, I'm bringing you a battle against Smogon user Lordefael. Now, this battle was indeed a stall war, but I actually had a lot of fun because I prefer stall wars than short, switch to the point of sweeping battles, so he didn't have as much fun as I had, so if you don't like having fun with stall battles, don't stall against your opponent. But when I look at his team, I noticed that Genesect is going to be threatening to my team, and his Landorus is most likely going to be threatening. Unlike, of course, it's a weather war, sand versus water, so I really have a high advantage over his team. Like, for example, his Garchomp, quite a few of my Pokemon can hit it for super effective damage. His Tyranitar, just about everything on my team hits it for super effective damage. His Gastrodon may be problematic, depending on if it's a physical mixed tank or not. Landorus, we have plenty of things to hit it for super effective damage, but if it is Scarfed, it can play hit and run. Rhyperior I'm not worried about because just about everything on my team hits it for super effective, and his Genesect, I have nothing that hits it for super effective damage, so that may be the Pokemon that can do the most damage, but I wasn't really sure what he wanted to begin with. I was thinking probably the Genesect, since most Genesect are Scarfed, and they're really good beginners for scouting, so as you can see here, he does begin with Genesect, and I'm just going to send in Putnam just to get up the drizzle, and I'm pretty sure he was going to U-turn. I wanted to stay in and go for the Scald, but that would have been silly, since he would have just sent in Gastrodon to get off a Storm Drain, so I send in a Ferrothorn, so he can take some Iron Barb damage, and he sends in Garchomp, so here I'm thinking he's going for Fire Blast, but since it's raining, I'm just going to go straight for the Gyro Ball. I was tempted to go for Explosion since this is Choice Band Ferrothorn, but I'm so glad I didn't because exploding to break a substitute is pretty frustrating. So, Gyro Ball is going to do about 75% to that Garchomp, and since he has Rocky Helmet, I'm going to assume that it was a defensive set, but he's going to easily destroy Ferrothorn, and now I'm going to send in Purple Gel, and he makes the appropriate switch into Gastrodon, but his Gastrodon gets frozen, so that really was frustrating for him, since Gastrodon walls this team for days, basically, as you're going to see later. So he's forced to switch, and he sends in his Tyranitar, so here I'm thinking he's going to switch out into his Landorus, and I was going to go for the Scald, but here I just go for the Earthquake instead, since Tyranitar is normally a specially defensive wall. So I'm pretty much just thinking, well, most likely he's going to either send in his Gastrodon or his Landorus. I was thinking his Landorus would most likely come in now, so I went for the Ice Beam, but he made another good prediction and just sent Gastrodon back in, pretty much trying to get it to thaw. I don't think there's a freeze reset counter, I think it's just a sleep counter, so as you can see, his Gastrodon does thaw out, and he was dramatically saying yes, so I felt pretty happy for him, since freeze hacks is pretty unfortunate, especially when it's on one of your tanks, you know what I mean? So here he's going to go for the recover. Purple Gel barely takes out the Gastrodon, so I may put Toxic on Purple Gel or put some more attack on it. Might even try Choice Band Swampert out. So for the next few turns, this is actually going to be rather stallish, as people would say, because here I'm just going to spam Earthquake repeatedly. I'm just spamming Earthquake, and if anybody wants to know why I'm spamming Earthquake, I need to see what attacks his Gastrodon has. I need to see if it has Scald and Toxic. Those are the moves I'm looking out for, but as you can see, his Gastrodon uses Surf, so I don't have to worry about Scald burning my Gyarados, because my Gyarados pretty much can sweep his entire team if it gets behind a sub and gets up one Dragon Dance after the Genesect faints. It'll just run through his entire team. So here, I'm pretty much just thinking, okay, I see that he has Protect, Recover, Surf. What's that last move? I was thinking if it was Toxic, he would have used it by now, so it could be Ice Beam or Earth Power. It could even be a hidden power of some sort, but I wanted to make sure that's how crucial it was to me. I wanted to make sure that it was not Toxic, because if it was me, I would possibly keep Toxic hidden depending on how his team was. So I was thinking he could be doing the same. But here I was starting to think, like after like 6 or 7 turns past, I was really beginning to think that he didn't have Toxic. Because I'm like, Swampert would be destroyed by now. And since he withdraws into his Landorus, I know that he does not have Toxic now. So I was like, okay, I just wanted to play really safe, just to be on the safe side. I was actually thinking that Surf was his only attack. But he makes a really good prediction and goes into his Landorus knowing that I'm just going to keep staying in, and he gets off an Intimidate. So now Earthquake is definitely not going to be doing much. I was tempted to switch somewhere around that Stall War, but now I'm going to switch out into Red Lobster, taking a chance since I'm pretty sure it doesn't have Toxic from this point, and he goes for the Earth Power. So now this pleases me because I know that Red Lobster can wall this Gastrodon for days. Even in the rain, it still won't break my Substitute. But now he's sensing Genesect, and by the way he sent it in, I know he has Thunderbolt. But I go for the Substitute anyway. And here I was going to go for Waterfall, knowing that he was going to break my sub. But I actually go for Bounce instead. And the reason I go for Bounce is just in case he wanted to stay in, he would have a 30% chance of getting paralyzed, but he's just going to send in his Rhyperior, his physical tank, who doesn't really care about being paralyzed. So here I'm thinking, since my Gyarados does not have max attack, I know that Waterfall will not be enough to KO this Red Lobster, since this Gyarados is more of a defensive set, so I'm just going to send in Putnam. But here he predicted me to go for the Waterfall, and he sent in his Gastrodon hoping to get a Storm Drain boost. So that was still a very good prediction on his part, because either way it goes, he can wall both Pokemon. So he did the really good option select, the 50-50, and here he goes for the Earth Power, which does nothing because this is a Calm and Putnam. And here I'm just spamming Ice Beam, honestly trying to get the Freeze Hacks because I did not realize that this team struggled this much with Gastrodon. Because I'm actually using a sleep-talking Politoed this battle. I'm just trying some new things out. I normally run Toxic Encore, Protect, and Scald, but it doesn't really seem like Sleep Talk Politoed is very effective. Toxic would have been a lot better for this Gastrodon. But now I'm going to send Gyarados back in. Knowing that his Genesect is going to come back in, I'm just going to go for the Bounce immediately. So either he stays in and goes for the Thunderbolt, which he does, or he can switch out. I'm not quite sure why he stayed in. I would have just switched right back out into Rhyperior. So his Genesect, like pretty much his most threatening Pokemon, just got taken out, which was very pleasing to me. Now he's going to send in his Landorus and get off an Intimidate, and I'm just going to switch out into Purple Gel, fearing that he's Scarfed, as he does go for the Stone Edge, but you know, Jolly Landorus is still faster than Adamant or Jolly Gyarados, so I'm still not 100% sure if it's Scarf just yet. But here I just go for the Earthquake as his Gastrodon enters, and now I'm going to switch out into Putnam, since I know that it's just going to be a recover Stallfest once more. And even though I do like Stallfest, Swampert really isn't in the condition to continue the Stall War versus Gastrodon, so here I go for the Ice Beam and he gets frozen again, and this is where the aggravation really takes place. Freeze Hacks normally occurs once in a game, but when it occurs twice, yes, that's enough to get someone aggravated. So now I send in Bustin' Caps, because I'm pretty much just going to go for the U-turn, predicting him to switch again, but he stays in, and since my Scizor is Expert Belted and not Choice Band, U-turn unfortunately is not going to take out the Gastrodon. But however, I still prefer Expert Belt Scizor over Choice Band Scizor, just for the element of surprise. So now I'm going to switch my Red Lobster back out and send in Bustin' Caps again, but fortunately for him, he thaws out. But fortunately for me, I have some specially defensive investments, so Scizor is able to survive with 8 HP, and I knew that he would switch his Gastrodon out, predicting me to go for Bullet Punch or U-turn again, so I just go for the Pursuit and finally take out that pesky Gastrodon. And since he thought that I was Choice Band, he felt he could set up on me, but no sir, get Bullet Punched please. So now he sends in his Landorus to get off an Intimidate, And that's fine, because here I'm just going to go for the bullet punch, and here he reveals that he was not scarfed, he was a late game sweeper with rock polish. So this was pretty interesting in theory, but since he has life orb, after those 2 bullet punches, it's going to faint itself. So basically, Busting Cap's Expert Belt Caesar destroyed 3 Pokemon, and it could have actually took out this Rhyperior as well, but it doesn't really matter from this point, because Ann Putnam is going to be able to one-hit this Rhyperior with Scald, and all he has left is Garchomp. So even if the Garchomp does like Outrage or Earthquake KO this Ann Putnam, I can easily send in any of my other Pokemon to finish this Garchomp off. So good game, Lordefael. Hope you all enjoyed this battle. This is UnhappyCarousel signing out. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and have a nice day.